Shri Gurave Namaha Yasya Kadapi Vasanancha Lakhelanotha Dhanyadi Dhanya Pavanena Kritarthamani Yogindra Durgamagatir Madhusudanopi Tasya Namostu Vrishabhanubhuvo Dishepi. So India is called as a spiritual land because we have that spiritual knowledge which is not found anywhere in the world. We have Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, Bhagavad Gita and the Vanis of the saints. Many saints have come out with a lot of wisdom, tradition, knowledge about spirituality. But then since we are not using that knowledge, all of us are focusing our lives on the modern science and technology and using this technology in order to exploit the nature, because of which we are developing all these negative qualities and a lot of atrocities are happening. But even if we get slightest knowledge of the spirituality, swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat, even if you get little bit of knowledge and you put it to practice, you become free from the greatest dangers. We have spiritual knowledge, that is one thing, but the spiritual knowledge is not put into practice. The nature of the spiritual self is love, and the nature of love is to give, to see that the other person is happy. And if I am really spiritual, if I base my life on Atma, self-realization, living in the self, then I'll naturally have this quality of love, and I will only do good to the people. There is no possibility of me doing any harm to the others and hating others, doing violence on the others. The very fact that there are so many atrocities happening in this world, especially in India, the rapes and other kinds of violence, shows that even though we have the spiritual knowledge, we are not putting that into practice. Otherwise, it's just not possible for us to hurt anyone. The whole culture after modernity, after we have accepted the modern culture, is based on the identity of self as body. And when I identify myself as the body, as I have said earlier, that my body automatically tries to take pleasure in the material world. And this is called as karma. And from karma, if I cannot fulfill my desires, automatically what develops in me is called as anger, krodha. For example, if you take your child to a mall and he wants an ice cream, you give him. Then he wants something else and you don't want to give it to him because you know that it spoils his health. Then the child will get very angry and he starts crawling on the ground. So that is called krodha. Because his desire is not fulfilled, he is developing this quality as krodha. But if you give him something, the more you give him, will he be satisfied? No, he will be asking for more. This quality is called as lobha. And all the things that you acquire in this material world for your sense pleasure, you develop attachment on them because they give you sense pleasure. And this quality is called as moha. Kama, krodha, lobha, moha. And then the more you accumulate, more things for the sense pleasure that you accumulate, like wealth or a car or a house, power, position, name, fame, etc., you develop ego, which is called as mada. And when you see that the other person has more than you, he is able to enjoy more than what you are enjoying, and he has more possessions that can give him material pleasure, you develop envy on him. This quality is called as matsarya. So if you identify yourself as the body and not as a spirit, you live a material life, you never develop prema. Prema can never reside in you. The qualities that reside in you are kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, and we can act only on that. So when we have all these qualities, automatically the lobha in us will make us to grab, do violence and grab, do anything, do corruption and grab from the material nature or from the other things. The kama will not see whether you are following the laws of nature and then acquiring things according to the laws. Right? You do anything, violate all laws, all rules to acquire sense pleasure. Identification with the body, which is developing all these negative qualities in us. In the contemporary culture, you see that a lot of people going to the temples has increased. But people should not confuse that with spirituality. Because you are going to temple in order to ask God to give you more. You are not asking God to give you love. You are going to God not out of prema, love for God, but out of lust for the material nature. So that is not spirituality. Spirituality means understanding that you are not the body, you are the Atma, and you belong to God, and you are an Amsha of the God, and your nature is love, and trying to cultivate that nature of love by worshipping the God or by meditating on the God. But very few people are understanding this and doing that. The rest of the people do not go by this knowledge. They consider themselves as the body, and automatically they develop all these negative qualities. So they can only destroy the nature, they can only do violence. You can never curb this violence and atrocities in the world as long as you think yourself as the body. This is the natural tendency. The only spiritual life can make you free from all these negative qualities and then develop this love in you, by which you can serve everybody, distribute love to everybody, and make efforts to keep everybody happy.